Alright, today we are going to talk about relevant first century events. Relevant to who? To this course, to understand who Jesus is. It all begins with the birth of Christ, sometime between 6 and 4 BC. He was born 4 years before Christ? When they were adjusting the Julian calendar from the Gregorian calendar, they realized, looking at historical events such as when Herod the Great reigned, and when the census was taking place, that Jesus was actually born probably about 4 to 6 years before the time we thought he was born. If Jesus was just a newborn infant, why would Herod want to kill the Jewish babies 2 and under, unless possibly the Magi was sent out when Jesus was 2. So we have to add 2 years from 4, and so now we're at 6 BC. Jesus' public ministry, depending on which gospel you read, lasted between 1 and 3 years. Gospel of John portrays Jesus visiting Jerusalem for the Passover event 3 times. The Synoptic Gospel has Jesus going into Jerusalem at the Palm Sunday event, trashing the temple, getting arrested, all in the same week. So for the Synoptics, Jesus' ministry only lasts 1 year. This took place approximately 30 to 33 AD. Now do the math for a second. If Jesus died approximately 33 AD and was born approximately 6 BC, that would have made Jesus 39 years old. In the biblical years, the number 40 represents completion, represents a generation. Jesus was approximately 39 years old, almost 40, when he got crucified. He began his public ministry at the end of his life. Also in 33 AD was his crucifixion, his resurrection, his ascension, and the Pentecost event. Paul of Tarsus, Saul of Tarsus, he was a persecutor of the Christians. His ministry was around 45 to approximately 64 AD. Paul wrote the earliest Christian literature. He wrote the New Testament epistles somewhere between 50 and 60 AD. Another relevant year is 50 AD. That's the Council of Jerusalem. It was at that council where Christianity unintentionally separates from Judaism. Prior to the Council of Jerusalem, Christianity was a sect within Judaism. At the council, it was decided that Christianity was no longer going to follow the Jewish laws, namely circumcision and the dietary laws. Around 63 AD, Emperor Nero issues the first Christian persecutions. This was a local persecution that occurred in Rome. This is when it's believed we lost Peter and Paul. A lot occurred in the late 60s. Jewish Zealot Revolt around 66 AD. The Romans retaliate by destroying the temple, killing off the Zealots, burning down Jerusalem. And this marks the beginning of the Jewish diaspora.
What is the language of origin?
The word diaspora is a Greek word that means dispersion.
What is the definition?
It refers to the dispersion of the Jews from the Promised Land.
Could you use it in a sentence?
The diaspora lasts until the 20th century following World War II. This is significant to Christianity because with the Jews, the Christians left Jerusalem and we established a new home in Rome. We become the Roman Catholic Church. Jerusalem was burned down to the ground anyhow. Between 70 and 95, the Gospels were written. In the earliest Gospel in 70, Matthew and Luke wrote in the 80s, and John in 95. Why did it take so long for them to write the Gospels, practically a generation after the time of Jesus? The answer to this question will be on a future lesson. Finally, between 90 and 150 AD, you have Book of Revelation, your Deutero-Pauline letters, and your Catholic epistles composed. What does AD mean? AD stands for Anno Domini, refers to Year of the Lord. It does not mean after death. If you don't want to use the abbreviation AD, you can also use the abbreviation CE.
What is the definition?
It stands for Common Era. If you're going to go that route, you have to use BCE to stand for Before Common Era for the years that take place before 0.